Hello friends, it's Grace and welcome back to another video. It is time for my end of year series update for what I have accomplished and not accomplished in 2021. So I am gonna try and go through these quickly because this is just meant to be a check-in for where I'm at on various series and how I feel about my accomplishments. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the series that I am either caught up or finished. So these are the series where either I'm obviously finished them or I'm not finished them, but that's only because the next book isn't out yet, so there's nothing that I can do about that. And so there are 7 series on this list as of 2021. This is not counting series that I had finished before 2021. And so the first series on the list is the Alex Stern series by Leigh Bardugo. Obviously, I haven't read anything in this one for a little while. The first book in this series was Ninth House, and nobody has read anything in this series for a while because Ninth House came out, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of 2019, and we're still waiting for another installment in this series. So I've read one book and I'm caught up. Number 2, and this is how you can tell it's been a long year, is Mistborn Era 1 by Brandon Sanderson. I read The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages for the first time in January of 2021, and that feels like worlds ago. But it is now one of my favorite fantasy series, just full stop. So I absolutely loved that, and there was no way that I wasn't going to finish that. I finished those books very close together because I was so compelled by it. Number 3 on the list is Between Earth and Sky by Rebecca Roanhorse, the first book of which was Black Sun, which came out last fall, I believe, and I read that this spring. So again, a series where there is only one book out, but I am caught up in it by virtue of that. The 4th series on the list is The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham, which I started and finished this year. That spanned from July to October for me and is also a new favorite. I absolutely loved that series, and yeah, I finished it very quickly as a reflection of that. Number 5 is the Singing Hills cycle by nghi. Now, based on what Goodreads says, there are 5 planned novellas in this series, but there are only 2 out right now. That's The Empress of Salt and Fortune and When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, and I have read both of those in the 2 months leading up to this, and I've really enjoyed them, so I am caught up on that one. Number 6, and another new absolute favorite, is The Greenbone Saga by Fonda because I started reading Jade Legacy, the 3rd book in that series, basically right when it came out, and I finished it pretty quickly. I adored it. The Greenbone Saga is phenomenal, and it is now a complete series that I have also completed. So it's the perfect time to pick it up if you're interested. And then the 7th series on the caught up and finished list is a little bit of an honorable mention, and that's The Books of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. And the reason that I put this on here is because no, I am not actually finished it, but as we speak, I'm about 100 pages into the final book, The Fall of Babel, and I know for certain, going to finish it by the end of 2021. I'm enjoying it enough so far, I'm engaged in it, and I am really excited to see how this series wraps up, so I should be finishing that up this week. So, I feel pretty good about the series that I've finished this year, but inevitably my list of unfinished series from this year is longer. It's almost twice as long. Actually, it's exactly twice as long as my finished list, but what can you do? So I am just going to start off with an honorable mention, and that is The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, because depending on how you look at it, I am caught up on this series, but I haven't read Dawn Shard, which is one of the novellas that comes between the main books in the series. So I guess I could be considered both caught up and not caught up, because I know that it's not absolutely essential to read the novellas, but it does help and it gives you a whole bunch of more information, and I do really want to read Dawn Shard, so I'm kind of not caught up. Okay, so the rest of my unfinished series I am going to try and get through pretty quickly, and I will say how many more books that I have to read in each series. So the first one is not fantasy, it's actually the Crazy Rich Asians series by Kwan. It's a trilogy, and I have read the first book, so I have 2 more books in that one to catch up. Number 2 is The Gentleman Bastards by Lynch, which is not finished, as many people know, but I have 1 more book to read to be caught up in that series. Number 3 is my big boy, and that is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and I have 6 more books to be caught up in that one. Or I should say, to finish that one. Number 4 is the Serpent and Dove trilogy by Shelby, Mahurin, of which I have read the first book, so I have 2 more to read to finish that one. And then number 5 is the one that I am by far the least sure about, because that is The Expanse by James S.A. Corey, and I have 8 more books to be caught up / finished with that one. And I didn't love Leviathan Wakes, so above all with my unfinished series, this is one that I'm kind of putting a pin in, and it is not high on my priority list. I'm not totally pushing it aside, but I have a lot of other things that I'm more excited about, and the fact that this has 8 more big books pushes it down my list. Number 6 is the Discworld City Watch subseries by Terry Pratchett, and I have 5 more books to read to finish that one. Number 7 is The Faithful and the Fallen by Gwynne. I'm exactly halfway through that 4-book series, so I have 2 more to read to finish that. Number 8 is the Farseer trilogy by Hobb, because I know that it's part of the realm of the Elderlings, her larger universe, but I'm just going to take that world 1 series at a time, so I'm considering the Farseer trilogy by itself, and I've read Assassin's Apprentice, so I have 2 more books to finish that trilogy. Number 9 is Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Riordan, of which I have read 2, so I have 3 more books to go to finish that series. And then number 10 is The Band by Nicholas Eames, and this one I'm not 100% sure about whether he's writing more books in this world, but right now I know that there are 2, Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose, and I've read Kings of the Wild, so I have 1 more book if I want to be caught up in that world. Then number 11 is Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson, of which I've read just 1 book, so there's either 2 or 3 more depending on how you look at it. There are 2 more books published, but there has also been a release date set for the 4th book in that series, so by the time that book comes out, we'll see. It's going to be either 2 or 3 books that I have to catch up on. Number 12 is the Aurelian Cycle by Rosaria Munda that starts with Fireborn, and currently Flamefall, the 2nd book, is published, so I have 1 book to catch up on that, but I believe that the 3rd book in that trilogy will be coming at some point soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but there is a potential for there to be 2 more books for me to finish that one. Number 13 is the First Law trilogy, where again, I'm not considering the entire First Law world, I'm just considering that first trilogy. So I've read The Blade itself, which means that I have 2 more books to catch up on that trilogy. And then finally, this one is kind of an addition that doesn't make sense. It does, but I'll explain. And that is the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden, because I have not actually started it yet, but The Bear and the Nightingale is another book that I know I'm planning to get to this month, so once I open that series, it will be on my unfinished list, and it is a trilogy, so I'll have 2 more books to read in order to catch up on that one. So even though I still have 14 open series at the moment, I feel pretty good about this because I did make an effort to finish and close out some of my series, and I've successfully done that with a few, and I've found some new favorites, and the 14 open series that I have is still down from my number earlier this year, which was, I believe, 16 or 17. So all in all, not a bad year, I don't think. I'll continue to make progress towards finishing these series in 2022, even though I will probably start some new ones, so I don't know how these numbers will change. But We'll figure that out on the next check-in. That sounds like a problem for future Grace. So, if you liked this video, I really hope that you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!